This week on LTC News, turning kitchen scraps into black gold.
Approximately 7 plus tons or 14,000 pounds worth of food scraps.
1930s Lowell on film.
The movie camera lenses are to focus on the greatest American Legion State Convention parade, the City of a Sword.
And energizing local startups.
And the Innovation Hub is a birthplace of a lot of startups.
Welcome to LTC News. I'm your news anchor, Alanna Flood. On Tuesday, August 29th, Fortune 500 companies, Microsoft, Lenovo, and Arrow Electronics teamed up to bring new technologies to UMass Lowell's Innovation Hub. They gave presentations, held training sessions, and unveiled new products on Lenovo's Tech Wheels. Take a look.
We're here at the UMass Lowell Technology Center, and we are with Lenovo, one of Arrow's premier computer suppliers, also along with Microsoft and Intel.
We're here in Lowell today with our partner Arrow to talk about some of the new technology that's coming out from our companies.
The goal was to get the Lenovo Tech Wheels here to the UMass Lowell Innovation Hub.
Tech Wheels is something that we've been leveraging for the past couple of years now, and it allows us essentially to bring all the new, latest technology as close to our customers as possible. So instead of having all of our customers jump on an airplane and fly down to our corporate headquarters in Raleigh, North Carolina, we take the truck on the road and we spend 12 months with our new, latest and greatest products, and we bring them out to our customers' locations throughout the United States.
The building we're in today at the University of Massachusetts is really a hub for startup companies, incubator companies, and the university is very much tied into the city, tied into the companies in the surrounding area. They have played a big part in getting companies off the ground.
A lot of the companies that we work with for Arrow Intelligent Systems are startups, and the Innovation Hub is a birthplace of a lot of startups. And also, Arrow is contributing a member of the Innovation Hub. We provide equipment and funding to help companies get started here.
Prospective customers, startup companies, have access to that lab equipment, and hopefully we're helping companies get off the ground.
This innovation center is really at the core of our relationship with Arrow. It brings together a combination of technology enthusiasts as well as great products, and this is where everything kind of comes together. So Lowell is just a great location for us.
With these new ventures, Lowell and industry are still partners. In this locally made segment, we take a look at an unusual business venture. You may have heard the term farm to table, but a local company is more concerned with plate to soil. Offbeet Compost customers drop off their kitchen scraps at the Lowell Farmers Market and the Sunday Market at Mill Number 5. And owner Keziah Bascom transports the scraps to a small site in Pelham. This may look like just a big old pile of dirt, but in actuality, it's what local business owner Keziah Bascom calls black gold. What is black gold? Black gold is rich, fertile composting materials, and when it's put into a garden, it helps grow wonderful fruits and vegetables.
Offbeet Composting Company helps households, restaurants, and commercial businesses reduce their food waste by collecting their food scraps and bringing them to our small site here, where we turn it into compost, which is a wonderful material that helps plants thrive and helps revitalize the soil. So we believe that Offbeet Composting Company is very important because not only is it helping close the loop from seed to plate by adding the extra dimension of plate to soil into our food system cycle. But it also has the potential of creating or contributing to a green economy where as we scale up, we hopefully can create more jobs within the community.
I believe you have some piles to share with me right here.
Sure.
Okay, let's take a look.
So here is our newest pile of compost or food scraps. After we collect from our households and restaurants, we come here and we drop off. On top is a number of coffee grounds, which are very finely ground. And there's anything from banana peels to pineapple tops. We will take paper plates and paper napkins. We throw them here in a pile and we mix it with horse manure and horse bedding. And so this is the beginning product. Eventually, as you step down throughout the piles, you can see that it changes with time because we go through a scientific process. And so right now you can see that it's broken down more. You can see less of the food scraps.
Yep.
All the way until the last pile, which is finished compost that we are getting ready to give back to all of our customers.
How many pounds of food scraps and compost would you say is here right now?
Yep, there are approximately 7 plus tons or 14,000 pounds worth of food scraps. And so these piles, they reduce with time, but originally when you heap them up with all the food waste, they're very high. They can be up to my nose or so.
One day a week, Kasaya also picks up kitchen scraps from residential and commercial customers.
Oh, he has a lot today. We say the average household goes through about 10 pounds of food waste per week. And currently that's all going in Lowell to an incinerator. And imagine 10 pounds, if you multiply that times 38,000 households over a year's time, that is millions of pounds that we could keep out of an incinerator or a landfill and bring here to turn into compost and help our plants thrive.
Kasaya hopes to find a site within Lowell to create a community composting program that would generate enough compost to be able to sell that black gold on a larger scale. You can find out more info at offbeatcompost.com. In the 1930s, two brothers set out to film scenes of life in Lowell, but the footage wasn't available for public viewing until earlier this summer, when it premiered at the National Park Visitor Center.
So Arthur and L. Vozeolas, two brothers, who were very instrumental in deciding in the 30s that they wanted to kind of have a visual representation of the city through film.
They introduced this new form of entertainment to the people of Lowell.
L. Vozeolas from Lowell has had these films down in his cellar for decades.
Vozeolas donated the film footage to the UMass Lowell Center for Lowell History, housed at the Mogan Center downtown.
It's high quality imagery. It's high quality artistry. It's not, it's not like me with my home camera, back in the 70s, kind of zzz, not knowing what they're doing. I was very interested in this because it really fills a gap for especially the mid 20th century, that we don't have footage of the city, and we're able to digitize all the original 8mm and 16mm film. And so now we have kind of a computer archive of all the original footage, which is very special.
Mehmet Ali and his team put together some of the clips into an hour-long program called Movie Montage, Cinema in the City.
Howdy, folks. Here on top of the Gaumont Brothers building, the movie camera lenses are to focus on the greatest American Legion State Convention parade, the City of a Sword.
I mean, when you think about doing films in the 30s, 40s, it's relatively new, medium to play around with, and not many people had, movie cameras in the city to take footage.
The Vozeolas brothers perhaps had feature film aspirations, but the movie production unions had other ideas.
What'll it be, folks?
Coffee and donuts all around.
They would do the film with the intention of doing something larger, but then getting shot down by the unions actually prohibited them from it, and I think discouraged them a little bit. And I'm not trying to find fault with the unions. That's just what it was. It was, they weren't using union labor, and essentially the unions came in and kind of gave them a hard time. So it discouraged Elle from continuing to do it. But in the meanwhile, we still have wonderful footage from that period. You'll see a lot of really interesting things that highlight the city's, history, but really there was the current events of the time. So you'll see this visit of Vice President Henry Wallace. Easter morning in Lowell, Mass, and they go to several different churches. They go to the Immaculate Church and the Holy Trinity Greek Church and other churches in the city. And there's kind of a style editor kind of reviewing what the women and men are wearing.
Although the ladies of the Spindle City have a reputation for always looking like something out of a bandbox, their costumes this year were decidedly different. Despite the fact that rain was expected at any moment, the ladies ventured forth, willing to brave the elements.
You'll probably see some landmarks and some faces that, especially our older viewership, that you haven't seen in a long time. And to see Lowell in motion is very exciting for me, and I think for anybody that's going to look at these films, they'll get a lot of joy and kind of connectivity to the past. So many things under the sun that Lowell had at that time that are captured through L. Vozeolas' and his brother's lenses.
Break out the popcorn, because we are very excited to be able to present movie montage Cinema in the City on LTC Channel 8. During the month of September, the Vozeolas brothers film will run every Monday at 6 p.m. and every Friday at 9 p.m. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, commonly known as the Mormon Church, is holding a day of service that is open to everyone over 8 years old. They hope to work with hundreds of volunteers to prime and paint the fence surrounding Edson Cemetery and catalog grave sites at the Old English Cemetery, both on Gorham Street.
About 7 or 8 months ago, we met with the city of Lowell and wanted to give back to the city from being so kind to us, and just to do something wonderful as a church group, but also as the community.
So our primary goal is just to give back to a community that's been good to us. But among our other goals is to forge relationships with other people in this area. We welcome all to join us as part of this project. It's not an exclusively Mormon project. It's a chance for other members of the community to jump in and be a part of this with us.
We considered many different projects, but the project that seemed to be the one that required the most man hours, that was the most needed, was scraping and repainting the miles of fencing around Edson Cemetery.
We believe in honoring ancestors and forging ties of love across generations. A cemetery seemed like a perfect spot.
The Mormon Helping Hands project brings together members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with their neighbors to provide community service.
We believe that our primary obligation is to try and follow the example of Jesus Christ in our daily living. That's one of the reasons why we're eager to give back to the communities in which we live, which we think is part of the Christian example.
Secondly, there is an Old English cemetery right here near Edson Cemetery that has not been documented. The gravestones have not been documented. So we are going to use the Billion Graves app on people's phones to actually take pictures of and get the locations of the gravestones and type in the information so that people can have that information when they're searching for their ancestors or people who have lived here in Lowell. We're excited to invite all members of the community and friends who would like to come to participate with us to come on Saturday, September 23. The project goes from 9 to 1. We are going to meet in the Butler Middle School right across the street here at 1140 Gorham Street, and you can come a little bit early to register the same day. It doesn't matter what religion you are, or if you have no religion, we are just so excited to meet new people and serve side by side and have fun and get to know our different friends here. We're expecting about 300 to 400 people, and so we're hoping that we'll get the whole mile in. Yes, the mile of fencing. So we'll divide into teams that morning and then come right across the street and start working.
If you'd like to volunteer for the Lowell Day of Service, a Mormon Helping Hands project, on Saturday, September 23rd, visit them on lowelldayofservice.org. In his continuing series of conversations with candidates for Lowell School Committee, Lowell Sun Enterprise editor Chris Scott chats with Dennis Mercier on this week's Sunspot.
We're continuing our series of interviews with challengers for Lowell School Committee. The challengers have a reason to be excited because there are 2 open seats in this fall's election. With me today is Dennis Mercier. Dennis, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Dennis comes from a well-known political family. His father was the former mayor and city councilor, Armin Mercier, and this is Dennis's second bite at the apple.
Yes, yes.
So Dennis, tell us what happened 2 years ago. You almost squeaked in there, but...
I almost squeezed it. Yeah, we ran a good campaign. I lost by, I think it was 149 votes.
So, yeah,
I
that's
came in
not many.
7th,
Yeah.
which was close because there was a lot of good challenges. I think there were 12 challenges at the time. And there were a couple of open seats, but thought we ran a good campaign. I get a lot of help from a lot of people. We did everything I thought we could have to win. And like I said, I just missed out, and I don't think it was from lack of work, but obviously this time I'm looking at it as working even harder, getting out more, getting out in the neighborhoods more, getting my message out, and you know, I still want to serve.
Yep.
As I did 2 years ago, and so I'm going to give it a shot.
So tell us precisely, what are you doing to work harder, and what is your message? What separates you from, I think there are, maybe 5 other challengers, plus
Yes.
4 incumbents
Yes,
that are seeking election. So
There's 2 seats.
what are you doing differently, and what is your message?
Okay, what I'm doing differently this time is I think I'm being a little more aggressive and getting. I've got a few concerns. I know we're going to talk about the major concern for the city.
What could that be?
That would probably be the high school. You know, the new high school, which has kind of got sidetracked here. I'm a firm believer in Cawley Stadium. I think
Let's just stay away from
Okay.
Cawley for a minute.
Okay, so
what are you doing differently? How are you working? You say you're being more aggressive.
Hitting more neighborhoods,
Okay.
you know, going to more local meetings, you know, getting out and meeting the people. I think the last time I got out some, I probably could have got out more. Like I said, I had a great group working for me. It fell to me. You know, I was on the ballot, and I'm just trying to get more aggressive, knocking on more doors, you know, getting through all the neighborhoods and just basically going to as many things as I can, introducing myself.
Were there any neighborhoods that you didn't hit last year that you're making sure you hit this year?
I'll be honest, I kind of, and it was naive of me, it was my first time out, and I'll be honest, I kind of shied away from Pawtuckaville, my base. And I did very well in Pawtuckaville.
Took it for granted, maybe?
I think that's what I did. I think that's exactly what I did. I was given a little bit of advice here and there. And I could have done a lot more there. And you don't realize afterwards, but I think I topped the ticket in Pawtuckaville anyways. But that doesn't matter because there still could have been more votes out there. I didn't reach enough people.
Yeah,
And
like
you're right,
147.
140, it could have been 147 votes, exactly. You know, I was focused on other areas of the city. So this time here, I want to make sure I focus on all of them. I started a little earlier than last time. And I'm just going to get out there and knock on doors. And I'm a Pawtuckaville resident. I was born and raised in Lowell and Pawtuckaville. I've always lived in Pawtuckaville. So I do know a lot of people there. But I think I need to go and I need to talk to them, tell them, hey, you know, I am running. You do know me, but, you know, I appreciate one of your votes. I think it's just reaching out.
When you talk to those folks, what do you tell them? You mentioned earlier your message. What is your message?
What I'm looking for in the school department is, and we're not going to talk about the high school right now.
Not yet. We'll get to it.
Okay, we'll get to it. I'm looking at the different things. I think the budget's out of whack. I think there could be some fiscal responsibility there. I'm a strong proponent of neighborhood schools, and I know they call them zone schools. Well, it's time for that. And I know everybody talks about it every 2 years. They make a motion, and then it just disappears.
When there was that motion, well, there was the discussion by the former transportation director, Dakota.
There's actually a report out there, which I haven't been able to get my hands on. It's not online anyway, where he laid out 5 zones in the city.
Yes.
And from talking
We did
to
a story
people,
on that.
Yes, and talking to people, I'm actually, somebody's supposed to be sending me the report, because that's what I'm looking for. The kids in the neighborhood should be able to, if they're able to, they should be able to walk across the street to their school with the neighborhood kids. I want to kind of go back to that. You know,
It
you
does
grew up
seem-
in Lowell,
you know.
everybody went to the same school, everybody knew each other, the neighborhoods were up, and now they're scattering them all over the place. And I don't think that's a good idea.
And they're doing that because of transportation and busing and costs, correct?
Well, right now they're doing it because of some federal plan that they made an agreement with in the 90s. And if you look at Lowell right now, I think that plan is out the window only because every neighborhood is diversified in the city right now. I don't see that as being a problem anymore. You can always do it now, is give a school choice that if people do want to send their kids to a different neighborhood, and it would save a lot on busing.
So you hit on the budget. Excuse me. You hit on neighborhood schools. What's one other general overall school department issue that has you kind of revved up?
It was the last time too. Is the maintenance of effort in the schools to keep the schools up. And I know the city's working hard on the interior, the expensive stuff, But there's just like I noticed over the summer, you go by some of the schools and they look abandoned. The grass is 2-3 feet high, and I guess in some of the schools, and
It's funny, we got a report on that just last week at one of the schools in Belvedere.
Yeah, and I guess it's up to the principal to decide when to have the custodians cut the grass. And they're only doing what they're told. They're good workers. But I guess some of the schools, I think you looked at the Daily, I know the Wang School, I'm sorry, the McAvenue School. Places look beautiful. And what I found out from talking to people is the principal says, okay, we got to cut the grass this week. And I think there should be a plan in place. It shouldn't be a choice. We're going to cut the grass, we're not going to. People are looking for houses to buy in Lowell. They drive by, they're looking in the summertime, they look at the school, and some of them are horrible. And I think a maintenance of effort like that, just a curb appeal is one big thing. And they keep pushing for the interior repairs.
Just to go back to your comment about the budget, I just want to try to hold your feet to the fire a little bit on that. You say the budget's out of whack. Can you be a little bit more specific there and talk about that?
I'll go right for it. It's the administrative salaries that are out of whack, I think. I think they are. Right now we have a superintendent of schools, and I understand they signed, he has a contract, but I think we only had a new one, which is very lucrative. At the end of it, he's going to be making $204,000 a year. I don't think the city manager comes close to that, and he runs a city of 110,000.
Yeah, I think the city manager's at about 190, maybe.
Yes, yeah, and I just think that was too lucrative. And now I think we got 4 a deputy and 3 assistant superintendents, and every time they add that assistant title, they jack the salary up like $30,000-$40,000, which I see is out of whack. They're starting people at those salaries when they should be going to a base salary as if you're first time in the door.
Well, there was a little controversy about that a couple of weeks ago that the newspaper wrote about, where school committee member Bob Hoey wanted to make the HR director, Ann Sheehy, a deputy superintendent.
Yes.
On the same level as a Janine Durkin and some of those other folks. So obviously you opposed that.
I oppose that, yes, and that's what I was just going to say. They're trying to add one more to it. You need one deputy. You need one deputy or one assistant, and then you can have directors if you want, managers or whatever. But the second you put the assistant superintendent on there, the salary goes through the roof, and that's just the part of it. I'm sure we can dwell into a budget and find money. I think it's $180 million this year. Every year it goes up. Every year they go back to the council and say, hey, we need more money. And
they just had to cut the budget by about $600,000 during that special meeting a couple of weeks ago.
That's the thing. They did the budget on anticipated money. I'm not sure how that works, because I know me and my wife couldn't do that. Well, I'm anticipating I'm going to make more money this year, so let's spend it. They should have done it on the bottom line number, I think it was in the House Representative. Then if you get more, then you can tweak the budget and put some more money into stuff. And
that's not how you do your household finances?
Oh, yeah, I just tell her, Gary Wallace is going to give me 5% raise this year, so let's spend it right now. It doesn't work like that. That's why I'm very surprised that they did that. And now they could, obviously they have to go back, cut the budget. Another thing with the superintendent, his first thing was the library aides. I think he wanted to get rid of a guidance counselor. I wouldn't want any frontline people touched at all, because those are the people that deal with the kids. Go back to the administrative office. They could have picked up a teacher or two, just not adding assistant superintendent to some of the titles.
Well, that night, the Ann Sheehy motion, that failed. Well, it's not so much that it failed, but it didn't get advanced. They sent it to the superintendent. The superintendent has no intention to do anything with that.
And that's good, too, because I think he's got too many of them.
So when you share with constituents, with voters that will hopefully vote for you, what kind of message, what kind of response are you getting when you share with them your concerns?
Actually, getting a good response. People watch the finances a lot more than you would imagine, and it's they're watching the budget. They're watching everything that's going on in the school department. A lot of them I found don't like the idea of cutting any kind of class staff or frontline staff, even the library aides. The thing out there, well, we don't need them because we haven't been using them. Well, what have they been doing for the past 10 years? And that's up to the principal. They've been using them for something else. That's something that should have been noticed as the years went by. All of a sudden you need money and say, well, they kept saying they don't need the guidance counselor at the high school. How can you not need a guidance counselor? That didn't make any sense to me. So just ask a lot more questions.
Those are all meat and potato issues, which I think resonate well in a local campaign. But as we were talking off air, there's one guerrilla issue out there that's really overshadowing everything else, and that's the high school. Yes. Whether to renovate and build downtown or build out at Cawley Stadium. You are a Cawley Stadium proponent, correct?
Yes, I am.
And tell us why that is, and share with us your opinion on all the legal opinions and all the sniping and the city council versus school committee that we see lately.
I believe in the school at the Cawley Stadium, a brand new, state-of-the-art, school with all today's technology, and it's something that can be good for 50, 60 years. The downtown school, the old schools and stuff, they served their purpose over the years. This is a whole new generation coming up. They're not leaving school, going downtown and spending money. If anything, I think downtown has become a distraction to the students. You're bouncing around from 2, 3 different schools. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think the Cawley statement, and I'll give you a perfect example. I went to the Lowell Trade School in the early 70s as a carpenter. And my junior year, they moved us up to the vocational school. And you walked into that school and it was amazing. It was like, you actually really wanted to come every day. And I wasn't, that big on school. I was learning carpentry. But the place was beautiful. It was brand new.
We just have 2 minutes left.
Everything was beautiful in it. Right now, I think that the process has been done. They did 2 years. They did 63 hearings. It's time to go to Cawley. And the council, I think, followed over. I think that's what's going to come down eventually from the court, saying, yeah, the council did everything. School committee will get their say later on. They got their say at the beginning when they approved the educational plan for that site. So I think this is just too much.
What do you make of all the sniping that's going on? You've been around for a long time. Your dad was involved on a number of different fronts. So, you've seen it over generations.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like this. There's been controversies in the city before. Eventually, everybody would come together. I've never seen it this bad. And it is. It's separating neighbors from each other. It's getting nasty, if you will. And it's too bad because eventually, no matter what happens here, we've got to all come together again as a city, show the kids, yep, we're looking out for you. We're going to build a new school at Cawley for you so that you can have state-of-the-art equipment and everything else.
So we have about 30 seconds left. What is your prediction? Do you think there'll be a renovated high school downtown with a new building, or do you think it will be at Cawley when all the dust settles and all the judges rule and all the alleged delaying tactics from both sides are resolved? What do you think is going to happen?
When everything's done and said and the dust settles, we're going to have a brand new school at Cawley Stadium.
You think so?
And everybody in the city is going to look at it and say, wow, that was a good idea. And I think it's going to work out great for the next 50, 60 years.
Then they can work on redeveloping this massive site downtown.
That's not a bad idea for the one across the canal there. The little market rate places. And one thing real quick, and I know people are saying that they're going to tear down the building on Kirk Street. They're not tearing anything down. It's a historic building.
A historic building.
And it's the people that made Lowell High, not the buildings.
Dennis Mercier, candidate for school committee. What number are you on the ballot?
They haven't picked the.
They haven't picked school committee yet?
There's no primary for the school committee.
Right,
so,
okay.
Yeah,
All right, well, good luck.
Look for the Mercier name.
Good luck. Thanks for coming in to speak with us.
Thank you very much.
We're very excited here on LTC News because this show marks our 1-year anniversary. We started the show on September 1st, 2016 with Al Gentili as host. We'd love to hear your impressions of the show as we begin our 2nd year. Email us at ltcn@ltc.org. That's it for this edition of LTC News. You can find us on LTC channels 8 and 99, on our new Roku channel, LTC Lowell, on the web at ltc.org, or get the link on Facebook. I'm Alanna Flood, and in the words of our friend Al Gentili, be well.